This is going to be a strange video. I'm going to express myself the best I can, but I don't know how successful I will be. But if in my judgment, I am not so successful, I probably won't post this, and therefore you won't be seeing this. So if I am posting this, I guess I thought I was at least somewhat successful in conveying what I'm trying to convey. I got interested just in the last couple days in the Hunter Biden story. I stayed out of it when it was all going on, when it was the conversations about the laptop and what was on it, and the claims that it was just Russian disinfo and all of that. And since recently, the same Lugenpress outlets that were poo-pooing it during election season are now saying, "Oh yeah, okay, we admitted it's real." And I made the mistake of getting on Twitter. Yes, it's a mistake. I don't recommend it. Just seeing what people were saying, and the supporters, the supporters of the current dispensation, they're just like they're just glib about it. They're just like, so what? Doesn't matter. And it was disheartening. But it's par for the course, isn't it? Or it was like, what about Trump and his sons and what the kind of things they did, and the whataboutism thing. But none of that is what I'm interested in discussing here. When I when I heard all this stuff about the perhaps impending charges being or indictments being brought against Hunter Biden, I thought, oh, just who is this guy? And I decided I'd look into him a bit more. And I watched a documentary that's maybe it's even available on YouTube. I don't know. Probably not. But I watched it on one of YouTube's competitors. That's Odyssey. And it was interesting. And then there was also something which I'm going to include below, which is various audio messages that I guess were that Hunter Biden had recorded at different times throughout the years. One where he's talking to somebody trying to get back into rehab, and being kind of belligerent, and the guy's kind of, or being semi-belligerent, and the guy's trying to talk him down, and a couple other kind of sleazy sounding situations where he's calling a girl, waking her up, and now there's no doubt to me that he's a sick, degenerate freak. What I found was interesting when I was listening to this just Hunter just sort of riffing on his own, and again I'll include the link below and see what you think about it. He records all this stuff where he's I don't know whether he's trying to write a poem or write a short story, or if he's just gathering ideas. I don't know if he's doing this while he's driving. Again, this guy, through the years, seemingly, in between being an errand boy, a sort of money man, bag man for his dad, collecting in various countries across the world, and in these kinds of sketchy sorts of ways. In between doing all of that, he developed this, or he's been like an alcoholic. He says, according to by his own testimony, since like the 9th grade, off and on. I guess he got on the wagon for a while, and then got back off the wagon, and was what he called a functioning alcoholic for a time, and then became a drug addict and a crack smoker, and they tried to get him to go to a bunch of different rehab facilities, and he would, they would try to stage interventions for him, and I mean, it's all quite sad in a way, and especially particularly knowing that he was married at one point and has, I think, 3 children of his own, and what that I think when you're in that sort of condition, and you're a father, that's not that doesn't add points. That doesn't give you any added sympathy points. That in fact takes sympathy points away from you. But I've forced myself. I'm forced to wonder what sort of drove him to become the way that he is. And there's something really, if you listen to these tapes, listen to these recordings, there's something compelling about his entire presentation. There's this palpable kind of lingering sense of anger and resentment and just barely suppressed rage. You kind of think, well, what happened to him growing up in that family, right? The kind of things that we've heard about. We've heard different things, right? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. The alleged diary written by his sister and some of the things that she supposedly talked about in there. Just, this was what was it like to be Joe Biden's son? And to lose your mother at age 2, in a car wreck. You of course, with my mind, plugged in as I am to certain possibilities that others are not, I wonder all kinds of things about that accident, and what the meaning of it was, whether it was just some random thing that happened or not, because when you get into the realm of high stakes politics, just like when you get into the realm of conspicuous high stakes showbiz, there's a lot of fuckery that goes on, and there are a lot of things that happen that may or may not be what they seem. That's just my impression. So losing your mother at that young age, having this ambitious DC politician, who's wanting to who obviously puts his political career before probably anything else. Having a brother that he did, an older brother who was like this bright and shining star that everybody looked up to, and I think he held some kind of position in Delaware, Beau Biden. And it's just, what I'm saying is there's something compelling about this whole story. I'd like to see a miniseries made about these people. And I didn't know any of this stuff. But when you hear Hunter talking, when you hear him just formulating this, I don't know, again, if it's meant to be some kind of manifesto. I don't know if it's just him riffing and improvising, but he has this whole thing that he goes into where he says, "I am Demos," and he talks about how Demos is this god of wrath, who is never he's mentioned by name, but he's never his acts are never mentioned because there's something about him that's just so that's so frightening that none of the other gods in the pantheon want to even mention him. He's somebody who's overlooked and ignored, and is this abomination because of what he represents. And he talks about what his parents are and what they represented. And again, it's incredibly compelling stuff. And I'm going to point you to it and let you see what you think. So none of this is to try to rehabilitate Hunter Biden or to express sympathy for Hunter Biden, except that I do, in a sense, feel some sympathy for him, just because I tend to think that people who live these kinds of lives of just overt debauchery and intoxication, and who just never can get it right, just keep going off the rails time and time again. I mean, that all stems from something. I don't know what that something is, and I'm not saying it makes it justified, but we have to understand. We have to try to. I think we should be. I'll say it. I think we should be less judgmental about people like that. And here's what I'll bring in to inform what I'm saying here. I remember a few years ago, when I would hear about the latest child actor going off the rails and just becoming a drug addict or doing all this crazy stuff, holding up a liquor store, or just displaying all of this just this off the wall kind of behavior. I remember a few years ago I had no sympathy. It was just like, oh well, these are people who had everything, and now they've gone they had more privileged childhoods than they certainly had a more privileged childhood than me. Not that I had a particularly tough childhood or anything, but they certainly, the world was at their fingertips, and they blew it, and now, we should laugh at them. This was actually, I'm ashamed to say, my mindset, a few years, like 20 years ago, let's say, when I was hearing about, Dana Plato, and Todd Bridges from Different Strokes and other cases like that. But eventually it came around to me that, God, especially in Hollywood, especially when you find out more about showbiz and how children are treated in showbiz and how they are just systemically abused, often sexually, quite often sexually, but if not sexually, then in other ways. And the kind of things that go on in these realms that are not regulated. They're not well regulated, because these are people who are the masters of the universe. The bigwigs in DC or in Hollywood or elsewhere in other power centers. Who's going to tell them what they can and can't do? Who is going to hold them responsible for anything? And so my impression is that the children often suffer, and I suspect that it was the case with Hunter Biden. So anyhow, let me know what you think, and I'm going to leave the link below, and I'm going to tell you where the really interesting, really compelling stuff begins there with Hunter's kind of riffing on this I am Demos thing and what it could mean. It's interesting stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching.